Hello and welcome to Leader Who Inspires. My name is Dan Jackson. Let me start by congratulating you for coming to this video. That means that you have a genuine interest in developing as a leader and that you're interested in the teach sheet that I'm about to present you. It also means that you're on a pathway to promotion. Now, that's an LWI term, so you may or may not know that, but this pathway has begun for you, and congratulations, you're now on it. And I do appreciate you coming thus far, because it is a long journey, but it's a journey well worth taking. But I'll start by introducing myself. I'm the guy on the left, but you may be suspicious that that is not the latest photo, and you would be correct, because that's 26 years ago, and that's me now. It's not 1990 anymore. I am the author of The Leader Who Inspires, and I developed the LWI leadership experience, and most recently have brought that onto an online format as LWI Foundation, which we'll discuss later. But for the moment, we're going to talk about the essential behaviour teach sheet. And to indicate to you your experience, let me set some expectations up front. Look, I believe what you're about to receive is the one thing that will provide you with an instant boost in your ability to lead and influence others. It is up to you. My experience indicates that this one essential leadership behaviour is the essential foundation, but you don't have to take my word for it. There's a whole bunch of research that backs up what I've got to say. So my hope is that you understand just how important this one behaviour is. I'm going to also make some assumptions about you. Because you've come thus far, you've begun the pathway to promotion, and I'm going to assume that, one, you're motivated to become an exceptional leader, and not an average leader, not a above average leader, not even a good leader, but an exceptional leader. And as you progress through this learning, you will understand that that actually has significant meanings, and your habitual patterns that you develop will be quite different. I'm also going to assume that you are frustrated with your current situation, and that you probably have a voice that may not be as well heard as you would like, or there's some gap between where you are and where you want to be, and you're not quite sure of the path to get there, and that you see the pathway to promotion, or indeed the essential behaviour teach sheet, more accurately as a means to doing that. I'm also going to assume that you have a desire to lead others in a profoundly successful way, that you're a generous, compassionate, and considerate person, that you have the ability to be courageous, and that you have a desire to be more confident as a leader. So if that's you, keep listening, because I'm now going to tell you about the teach sheet that provides the one essential behaviour. Now, it's a simple behaviour. It's not necessarily easy to implement, and that's why I've tried to give you a pathway to do that. So the essential behaviour is this: the most important trait of every great leader is to build a life of profound influence by taking responsibility. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, on the right-hand side here of the teach sheet, which you'll be able to download, taking responsibility for how you react to outside stimuli, and to own the circumstance you find yourself in, and never, ever be its victim. And I'll elaborate on that. Here is a snapshot that gives you some idea of managing the work environment, not allowing negative situations to overwhelm you. And I've provided you a similar quote that is an important quote from The Leader Who Inspires about taking responsibility and influencing your workplace for the better. Provided you with a narrative here. And really this is about never being a victim, but always owning the situation. But not just that. It's having a habitual pattern that sees opportunity in constraint, and rather than being overwhelmed by change, understanding the importance of what the change is about, and then getting on board once you see its benefit. Now, over here is a 2-minute video. I'm avoiding the temptation to tell you about what's in that video because it's my favorite video. I've cut a lot of footage over the years, but this 2-minute video is one of the best, if not the best, 2 minutes that really give you a concise understanding of the required attitude for great success. So that is page 1 of the Essential Behaviour Teach Sheet. But as I said before, it's really important that we can turn this into action, because this concept's, taking responsibility for how you react to a given stimuli, being an owner, not a victim, they're concepts that are easy to understand. They're simple, but are they easy to implement? No, they're often not easy to implement. And so the key to this is forming habitual patterns. And now on this next page, on page 2, we're going to turn the learning into action. And to some degree, it's a microcosm, if you like, of what LWI is all about. Some theory, but a lot of emphasis on practice and action. Okay, so this is page 2. Ta-da! The 5 simple changes to radically increase your ability to inspire. So we're looking in the context here of taking responsibility. And the first one is to take action. Second, to own the situation. Third, to speak up. Fourth, to be accountable. And the 5th is to not gossip. Again, very simple to understand. Most of the LWI material is, but not necessarily easy to implement. That's why we've given you this learning matrix here, or table, which comes out of the LWI learning cycle. And you might recognize that you learn something, you then take action to adjust your behavior. I'll talk a lot about habitual patterns throughout the training. You reflect on how it went and you adjust your behavior accordingly. Now, a leader who inspires gets into the habit of, as they learn, they adjust their behavior, they reflect on how it went, and they readjust behavior, they learn more, and so it goes round in a circle. But let's have a look at those 5 things in the context of learning and action. So for taking action, identify 3 things you can do now to take greater responsibility. Look at your workplace, reflect on what you're doing, and say, what can I do to take greater responsibility right now, tomorrow, as soon as you go to work? What are the 3 things you'll be able to do? And to write those actions down there. The second one is to own the situation. This is about adjusting your behavior to become an owner of change rather than as a victim. When was the last time you complained or felt a victim of a work situation that seemed out of your control? This is about actually understanding that regardless of the circumstance, you need to own the situation rather than being a victim of it. That can be sometimes seem unfair, that can be unreasonable, but the reality is if you don't overcome a victim mentality, then you simply won't be successful as a leader. The third one is to speak up, and this is to assert yourself regardless of your personal preference. It's about when you're convinced of a change, supporting workplace changes immediately. Fourth one is to be accountable and influence others to assist you to improve glaring workplace problems. Now, unless you belong to the most perfect workplace ever, you know, and your colleagues know, that there are workplace problems that are very obvious and can be fixed. It's about asserting yourself and getting up and being accountable for making those, or getting that situation fixed. Now, in the right-hand side there, for that, well, what is the action you are going to take? Final one is don't gossip. Seek to address or remove yourself from negative conversations. And indeed, what is it you're going to do? What habitual pattern are you going to form next time there's a negative conversation or a complaining going on that's really unnecessary? It's one of the things that is a negative workplace, induces a negative workplace culture. It inhibits creativity. It raises cynicism. Gossip is a very dangerous, it's an enemy of a positive and productive creative workplace. So they're the 5 simple changes to radically increase your ability to inspire. But what are you going to do? What action are you going to take? So when you download the teach sheet, fill out this ACT column, the 3 things here: how you're going to own situations, what you're going to do to speak up, what event, what activity you need to speak up about, what are you going to be accountable for, and a habitual pattern of not getting involved in negative conversations. Then there'll be a delay in time, and then you can reflect on how these things went. You can adjust your behavior. Now, this simple discipline of taking responsibility for your environment, regardless of your ability to control the environment, it's important that you take responsibility for your situation and own the situation and never be its victim. It is a difficult concept. In some ways, it's an unfair concept because sometimes we're quite justified in being a victim. You remain in that mentality, you will never be successful as a leader who inspires, and I can't underscore that enough. Hence, this is the essential behavior, which I put in the advertisement, which attracted you to this particular teach sheet, and it's key. Okay, so that's your 2-page teach sheet. That responsibility is yours, is one of 15 disciplines and principles involved in LWI Foundation. So that's our little icon, or a little graphic for responsibility is yours, and that is one of 15 others. Now, each of those are 8 disciplines and 7 modules, which essentially make up the LWI Foundation, and that is an online leadership experience that you can work through. And I'm going to offer you something at the end of this video beyond just a teach sheet, free of charge for you to go deep on. Responsibility is yours, but also to understand that there's a bigger picture of other disciplines and principles, all of them key. I tell you what though, this is the key. Okay, LWI Foundation I've talked about. There will be a special offer for you at the end of the video. Now, I'll involve this briefly, but I really want you to get on and do the teach sheet. So very clearly, the foundation I spoke of is part of a promotion pathway, or a pathway to promotion, that takes you from an aspiring manager to a leader of prominence. Now, everyone wants to go up the ladder in one form or another, whether that's corporately or whether that's by changing jobs or whether that's by finding other ways to increase your wealth or increase your life value that you bring to life. And this promotion pathway is the key to doing that. Leadership underpins it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in there to make sure that you go from aspiring to prominence. Okay, so we're talking in the personal essentials down here, and from ambition to preparation, but there'll be more to say on that as you journey along the pathway. So that was the thing I mentioned at the start of the video, pathway to promotion. Now, the special offer. What I would like to offer you, and indeed it is below this video on the page in front of you, is the Responsibility is Yours free module. I'd like to offer you the module free of charge. I want you to go deep on this essential behavior. First, we have a snapshot, which is pretty well what's in the two-page teach sheet that you've seen, but you've also got an 11-minute video that really, this is the flagship. This goes deep on the issues of taking responsibility. I'll provide you with examples. There's a number of things here that are really, really key. You then have the opportunity to read the excerpt from my book, The Leader Who Inspires, which is in the read section. Then you start to integrate it into your behavior. There's a workbook to work through, some doing, then a self-assessment and a workplace assessment. And that do and assess provides you with the ability to take action. And you've got a bit of a glimpse of what action planning is about in the LWI world with the Learn, Act, Reflect, Adjust. So you've seen some of that. There's a more detail here. So this is a comprehensive online learning experience for you. It's free of charge. Discipline 1, responsibility is yours. Offered to you, the essential behavior, responsibility is yours, and the opportunity to go deep. So, in summary, this is an essential behavior. There is not a great leader that has ever existed in the history of the world that did not take responsibility for the environment in which they behave. Obviously, there are things outside your influence that you can't take control of, but you can certainly own your behavior in regard to that. Okay, it's a blunt message, it's a brutal message, but the road to being a successful leader, a leader who inspires, a sovereign leader, we will talk about during the training, the key to that is to take responsibility regardless of your circumstance. Okay, responsibility is yours. Thank you for listening to the video. Enjoy the teach sheet, and I hope it brings great value, because I'm expecting that you will have significant habitual patterns that will form out of this, and particularly when you download the free module, you'll be able to go deep on this subject, fill out the workbook, and get a significant action plan. It will change your life. It will change your workplace, just this one essential behavior, but there's much, much more. Thanks for listening.